All right, how long have you played League for?
Maybe 1.5 years,
Okay.
give or take.
And what is like your goals with the game?
Right now it's like maybe getting to gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, and like what's it called? In general, if there's or is there anything in particular you think I should be looking out for when coaching you today? Like, is there anything you think you struggle with a lot that I could help you with, or just general stuff?
I struggle with decision making.
Okay.
So just seeing certain situation and knowing how you would do it would be nice.
All right, sure, sounds good. All right, and you main ADC, I assume.
Yep.
Yeah, is Caitlyn one of your main champions, or what are your main champions in general?
Caitlyn and Aphelios primarily.
Okay. And has it always been this, or is it like new champion pool?
I also play Smolder sometimes, and there was a time when I went KL top for a certain time when I got so sick of supports.
Yeah, I understand. For sure, I understand. All right, and what is like the general build that you look to go for?
With Caitlyn, I have like 2 builds. One is based more on attack speed if there are plenty of tanks, and one is more on spamming ults in case the team is squishier.
Yeah, and so this one would be more spamming ult, kind of, or?
Yeah.
And this one would be more attack speed based?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, in general, I like this kind of setup. Like, I don't think you have to go Ultimate Hunter and purely play for your ult. I think going Collector into IE is just generally very strong on your champion. Like, I don't think it's like super important if you like this kind of build. I don't mind it, right? But this general like setup, going Collector into IE and then going either Lord Doms or like whatever, right? Just an attack speed item can be fine, right? It gives you a lot of damage in general, and if enemy ADCs step into your trap, etc., you will just kind of one-tap them, which I'm sure you know about.
Yep.
And on Aphelios, is it like similar build or?
Ophelia, so I usually go IE into Phantom Dancer.
Yeah.
If I'm confident that I can kill the enemies quickly, I will go Collector and into IE.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that can be fine. I think either build can work. Yeah. All right. So in general, coming into the game, what are you like thinking about? What is your plan, and like, what are your goals with the game?
I'm thinking primarily about when I start the game how I'm gonna lane and how I'm going to win or even go neutral in the lane. That's something I just picked up from playing Aphelios, that you want to win lane on Aphelios, and either that or go neutral if you just can't win.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can tell you this already, like, it's not like you're playing a super high elo or anything, right? Like, you can win any lane you play, I promise you. Like, if you play good, right? And you can do this up until, I don't know, Master, Grandmaster, that's just the truth, right?
Yeah.
So I want you to play to win lanes, right? So how are you thinking about winning this lane? Like, what is your plan for that?
With this one, I'll be honest, I am terrible against Seraph.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, I just can't. He's a champion I just can't play against. I don't know why.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to just trying to survive mostly, and maybe get some kills whenever I can. That's also why I have to set up a Fleet Footwork and Taste of Blood, so I can survive the poke.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't hate it. Because in general, like Seraph and Ashe as well, for that matter, you have no engage support. It's not super easy to play in that sense, right? Now we get first blood, this is good. Now, one thing that like I recommend you doing, right, is that you will always want to click around you, like pretty much constantly. I'm not sure you can say if you do this or not, but this is like something that you probably don't do if you struggle to dodge versus this champion, right? It's not like it's super easy to do anyways, but dodging back and forth permanently, like these kind of ways as well, right? You see what I mean?
Yeah.
The more you move, the harder it is to hit. Yeah, and this I don't mind. I would here, like, instead of walking this way back, just as a general thing on Caitlyn, you stand close to the bushes, right? So you can sack your headshots faster, right?
Yeah.
And then the other, like, main thing I want you to focus on, like, there's two things, right, to begin with, right, in lane phase. One is, like, you can play aggressive, and I think most people will struggle to deal with that aggression, right? If you're ready to, like, skill check them and, like, trade with them often, I think people will struggle to deal with that. The other thing is that I want you to get as much CS as possible, right? If you get a lot of CS and a lot more than the other people you're gonna be way stronger than them, right? Just flat out.
I think this game I was just terrible at CSing. I don't remember, but I think I was.
Yeah, and so getting like 15, like if you get 15 CS, let's just say, on average that will be ish a kill, right? So if you can be ahead 100 CS, let's just say, which is not impossible, agreed. At least at a certain point in the game, you can be ahead quite a lot of gold, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is something I just recommend practicing, right? And you can practice this by just playing a lot, right? That's like one thing, right? And then the other thing is just going into like, okay, let's say this game you said, okay, maybe I struggle a little bit more with like last hitting. That's fine if that's the case. But if it's like something you notice happens in general, I would recommend you like, okay, maybe before you play, go into like a custom game or something like that and just practice last hitting versus like no one. You know what I mean? So you get used to it. And the more often you do this, the faster you can learn to last hit, right? In that sense. Now, Seraph seems to be like trolling or something. I don't know. So we kind of.
Seraph was trolling this game, yeah.
Okay, so we kind of have a free lane in that sense, right? So what is your like new plan, like based upon that?
What I know when I'm on red side here, I know that I can place traps directly next to the tower, so they're invisible practically.
Yeah, that's good.
And try to get Ashe to like step into free damage basically for me.
And what is like another way do you think where you can like make him like step into this trap? Like one thing is like, okay, placing it so it's invisible, right? But it doesn't force him to walk here if he doesn't want to, right? So what's another way do you think?
Another way to force him just to leave lane, like poke him with Q, maybe, and maybe when I have ult, get him low enough that he doesn't feel safe, maybe feel threatened by jungle. Yeah,
but that's one thing, right? But mainly what I mean is like, how can you force him to walk into this trap in a sense?
I actually don't know. How would I force him there?
So let's say like this guy right now wants to avoid trades. Let's say for the sake of it, right?
Yeah.
And you position on this side, right? That would force him to position on this side, right? Otherwise you're just gonna out-attack him. Agreed? So this is like one thing where you can kind of impact on how he's standing. And if he doesn't respect it, you're just gonna out-attack him and he's gonna have to leave lane and you're winning, right? And if he like decides to walk this way, one thing is he could be standing here. Theoretically, if your Swain is good or if you're good, right? Like if he's standing in this kind of choke, it's not hard to hit skill shots, right? Your Swain can hit E, you can hit Qs. You can even, if you want to force him out of this, you can just place a trap. And then all of a sudden, if he wants to stand as far away from you standing over here, he's standing over here. See what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's something to keep in mind, right? And obviously, like a lot of people, and I can promise you this happens up until basically any elo, like they will stand in this trap, like. So this is good.
So right now I'm just trying to expand my lead by playing safe in quotations, just getting tower plates, getting CS.
Yeah.
If I don't need to kill my opponent, I can just make them waste time and lose CS on our tower. That's a win for me.
Yeah. And that's good, like in a sense, right? You don't need to kill your opponent, like you say. One thing here is I will not just hard shove like you're doing here. Let's say like you just don't hit the minions and the wave is like over here-ish, right?
Yeah.
Do you think Ashe can step up?
Probably not, no.
No, so if you decide to shove him in permanently, he can last hit a bit on the tower, right? It's not like he has a super easy time doing it, right? I'm not saying like you should look to permanently freeze. You're playing Caitlyn, right? You're playing Swain, enemy support is mid lane for some godforsaken reason, right? Like you're now top lane, I don't really know what's going on, right? But my point is just that like you can like slow push this wave, like just zone him off. Maybe he misses this like wave of like gold. If you notice he's resetting, you can hard shove or whatever. But otherwise, just hard shove next wave. You have a bigger crash. You can poke him more under tower. You can get a plate. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
If you crash like every wave, then it's not gonna be the same thing.
I should have stood in the bush there. What was I doing?
Yeah, I mean that's one thing, right? Stand in the bush here, right? So you get more headshots. And another thing is that, do you think you're winning this? Let's say.
I mean, that was, to be honest, at that point I didn't know. I was actually limit testing there.
Yeah, and it's fine to limit test, right? Like I recommend you doing this. Like if you want to limit test, go for it. The one thing I want you to do is like try to recognize your limits, right? If you don't know them, you send it. You know what I mean? Yeah. This is how you learn the game. You have to learn by fucking up, right? Simple as. But what I'm gonna try to say is, right, one, okay, you can stand in the bush at the start, right, to get more headshots, but otherwise kite towards them, right? You know what I mean? If you're like willing to walk towards them and create less space between you, right, if you think you're winning, then that gives them less room to escape, right? Because now they kill the Swain, now you out-attack the Briar, now he flashes out, right? You see what I mean? If you were standing like over here, this Briar's dead.
Yeah.
And it makes it harder for this Ashe to chase down your Swain as well, for that matter. And we kill this guy, and that's good, right? But if we think we're winning, or if we don't know, I'm down for us to position aggressively and just play towards our limits, right? And a lot of the time, these guys will be scared to match it, right? Because they don't know what's going on. And if you just pretend like you're winning, they will think he's winning. Because similarly to you, they don't know the limits, right?
Yeah.
And this won't work like in every elo or anything like that, right? But it will work a lot at the start, and sometimes you will lose because of it, and that's fine. Then we take it, like, just take from it and we learn from it, right?
Yeah.
And this is something you can do not once and again in the lane. Let's say you start off the lane and you just play aggressive on this guy, and you play like your limits are like in the sky, you know what I mean? You can easily notice if he's willing to match it, or if he's scared of trading with you. If he's scared of trading with you, you can just dominate the lane by just playing aggressive. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And playing outside of your limits, right? And if you just notice that, okay, this guy's actually playing aggressive himself, these kind of things, you could maybe take a more passive approach, actually play to like what you know your limits are, etc.
So at this point specifically, despite it being a 2v1, I didn't want to fight the Ash here because there was a big wave, and I thought that if I would fight here, I would die to the Ash.
Oh, I don't think you do. Like, I think there's a few things, right? I mean, so you come back here and you're thinking, okay, I don't want to fight the Ash because of the wave, right? Is this the plan, or do we have a plan after this?
It's pretty much bad. I want to collect the farm because free gold and stuff. And I just don't want to fight because it's a big wave. It'll attack me, and I'll take tons of damage and maybe even die.
So I don't think you will die most likely, right? Because you're a lot stronger than this Ash in general. I don't think it's a bad habit to have, right? In that sense, the number one thing is that we want to fin this wave, right? If we fin this wave, we can create a freeze, etc., right? If we go to trade with this guy and he like focuses the wave, let's say, or like he just backs off, right? Most likely we cannot hold the wave will crash, and the HP we just traded, let's say, on both of us, he will just reset and he will be full HP again. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So in general, it's a good habit to have, right? First you fin the wave, right? So I would just fully auto-attack. The Swain's job is still to zone out his Ash, right? And sometimes it's your job to still position aggressively, and if he respects that, then, well, all of a sudden we're just winning. But see here, now it's hard for him to play, and this wave doesn't matter, agreed? I wouldn't hard shove like this, potentially, but you can if you want to play for plates, right?
Yeah.
It's like now he's stuck in lane again, right?
Yeah.
And this is good.
Same thinking as before. I don't have to kill them. I just keep them low under tower.
Yeah.
That was the same thinking here.
I would look to maybe ward if we're scared of the Briar. If we're not scared of the Briar, this is fine. And then, for all I care, like, this Ash cannot play on this HP. I think it's a good habit, like you say, you don't have to kill him to, like, win or anything like that. But honestly, if you step up here, you need to out-attack him twice. You can get out, and then you can keep out-attacking the turret. He just doesn't get XP or anything, and you get a kill. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, I would just walk at him here, and if he doesn't respect, you can literally walk to the other side of the turret, and then, like, either he'll walk towards this side, die to the Swain, or he will walk towards your side, and you will kill him. Yeah. The only time where this doesn't work is if you're scared of this Briar. And if you're scared of this Briar, that's fine. Then you don't do anything.
Which I was. I don't like walking past tower without vision when I don't know where the jungler is.
Yeah, and that's fine, right? Like, if you, for example, I mean, you probably never get your Jax to do this, right? But if you can get your Jax to help you out or whatever, then that can be fine, right? But
I think we get a kill on the Briar here, yep.
Yeah, this is good. I don't mind how we're playing right now, and we're CSing decently well, right, in that sense.
Funniest thing is I didn't know what Jax was doing. He was just sitting on my lane stealing CS.
Yeah, that shit that's gonna happen, right? And we can't do much about it, right?
Yeah. And here we take tower. Ash is doing, bad.
Yeah.
My Swain actually dies here. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. Like, once again, it's like step backs, right? But it's like, look at, this is what I care about, right? Because this guy is not a champion right now. Even if he gets some kills, he's not a champion, right? But you're very strong in the game, agreed?
Yep.
Alright, we get the turret. What is the plan now?
So, normally, I would rotate mid lane, but I've noticed that the Ash is still pushing bot, and since I can't trust my mid laner to go bot, I continue to go bot afterwards. That's just the elo thing, though. I would, if in any other elo where the mid laner knows, hey, bot tower's down, I can go bot, I would go mid here.
Yeah. No, I think theoretically, like you say, maybe the correct play is just to go mid, or even in this case, because it's so early, just go top lane, right, and take this turret, right? Because it's easier to take this top lane tower than the mid lane tower, right? But it's like, for all I care as well, like, if you are this fed, right, you have Collector at 9 minutes, right, no one's even close to how fed you are, like, you look at, like, okay, this LeBlanc is maybe not super weak as an alternator, you see what I mean, like, these kind of things. For all I care, if you just have your Swain with you, you just ping the Swain that you want to go bot lane, you keep going bot lane, you can probably take this tower as well.
Yeah.
Right, you can just steamroll completely.
Yeah, I just stay bot lane so the Ashe doesn't get a free tower, basically.
Yeah, and that's completely fine. And I think you can just keep pressuring your lead through like bot lane if you want to as well, right? That's my point as well. And here, I would just take a wave before we reset. You want to get this crashed preferably beforehand. Maybe we're scared of someone, and that can be a thing. Yeah, go.
I didn't have vision in jungle. I didn't know where the Briar was.
Oh, I think you have vision though. That's the thing, right? It's like maybe there's a word where he like walks this way, right? And that's kind of awkward then. But like if you're really scared, just go place a ward in Tribush, right?
Yeah.
And for all I care, we're super fed, right? I think even if we're like a bit low HP, we can probably outplay it. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You're also 2 levels up on this Briar, right? So right now you're super strong in the game. I would just take any fight I can get. Alright, so we keep going bot lane. Once again, I would ping my Swain that I want to keep going bot lane, because here, standing right here, it can be a bit scary versus like TF, Briar, or these kind of things, right? You can easily get collapsed on, right? But if you have someone with you to support you, I think you can probably kill everyone.
Setting up some traps to deny easy access to me.
Yeah, I don't hate it. So now we're just hitting tower. This is fine. Yeah.
I'm taking this tower alone, or no? No way, Briar. Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Should I have fought the Briar there?
Well, I don't think you never look to get hit by the Briar ult, right? But I think after this, like, I think it can be fine. If you're scared of someone else joining in, then sure, don't fight. But I mean, I'm fairly certain you win this.
Because
even maybe
this is why I didn't want to fight Briar. She just kills me here.
Yeah, I mean, this is a bit awkward, right? Because we get hit by the Ashe ult, right? But I think if we don't get hit by the Ashe ult, we can win. Agreed?
Yeah, that's true.
Because we're dealing a lot of damage right now. The problem is just that, okay, he's gonna kill us before we kill him, right?
Yeah.
That is kind of what I mean as well, right? If we have someone with us, like, we don't face the same threats in a sense, right?
Yeah. I wasn't really too particular about pinging the Swain, because the Swain was having impact on other parts of the map, getting other members ahead as well.
Right.
And that's trying to.
That's good in a sense, right? That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, right now, you're Omega fed in the game, right? And you're not playing in high elo, right? These guys are not going to carry you, right?
Yeah.
You're going to carry games. You see what I mean? You can carry every single game if you want to, right? You just need the resources to do so, right? And you need to put yourself in positions where you can carry, right? You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And a part of that as an ADC is making sure you have the right people around you, right? And like is involving yourself in team plays, because an ADC alone can't do that much. You see what I mean? Like, you can DPS, right, and you deal a lot of damage, but you don't have people to set, like, you need people to set up plays for you a lot of the time. You need people to, like, peel a bit for you in fights, even if they don't, like, peel super good or anything, right? Like, at least, like, just being there, right?
I died to Briar again.
Because, yeah, I mean, this is a bit awkward, right? We get hit by the Briar ult, and yeah, it sounds great, right? But it's, like, this is kind of what I mean, right? It's, like, at least we get the tower here, and then it's, like, you know, I would stand behind the Swain, potentially, these kind of things, maybe get some vision, right, before we, like, take this tower or something like that, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
But my point is just that, like, right now you're super fed, you just want to steamroll the game, right? This is the goal for you, right? You just want to play as aggressive as you can, and the more aggressive you can play, the better your chances are to win, right? And the more you leave the game up into this guy's hand to snowball the rest of the map, the less control you get, right? Yeah. Because the truth is, if this guy starts roaming around, this Sura, for example, has been roaming around the entire game, right? This does not mean they're winning, right? But if this guy starts roaming around or whatever, it could just mean they lose a big fight over here for some reason. All of a sudden, the Briar picks up like a quarter kill, and then all of a sudden, you're not the strongest person in the game anymore, right? When you're the strongest person in the game, you want every play to be around you, right?
Yeah.
And often that is by going mid lane, right? For example, right? And maybe we can't go mid lane in this case, and that is what it is, right? But it's like in general, right? This is the goal. And now I would go mid lane, even if LeBlanc doesn't go like side lane or whatever. I would just go mid lane and start forcing. Yeah.
Looking to trade out the TF.
Yeah.
Actually, I kill him.
Yeah, and we play like good aggressively, right? In that sense, like we're not scared to like start hitting our enemy if they disrespect, right? So this is good. I would keep doing this, right? And here, okay, this is good once again, right?
Yep. And this is where Zera Fates comes in.
And it's kind of what I mean. For example, right? And this is not a super easy habit to get into, but for example, let's say we hit this. Okay, we're probably not dodging this spell, unlike whatever, right? It is what it is, right? But after we like hit the tower, right? Like where Sura, for example, his skill shot goes in a line, right? You're not dodging backwards, agreed? You're dodging to the sides. So every time we go to hit this tower, right, you wiggle to the sides, right?
Yeah.
So like, for example, instead of stepping back after you hit the tower, you step to the side, or one of the sides, I don't care which one. You can maybe step back and forfeit, and when they force a spell, because a lot of people will try to predict your movement, then let's say you're stepping here, and then here, then maybe he throws a spell over here, and you can keep walking in the other direction. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Hey guys, it's Aqsept. If you're enjoying the coaching session that you're watching right now, please consider leaving a like and subscribe. I upload coaching sessions daily right now. I also upload shorts daily. And if you're interested in seeing the sessions a bit more live and asking questions while we're going on, then just remember, I always do these sessions live on my Twitch channel, so you can go follow that, link in the description. Anyways, thank you and enjoy the video. This is like how you dodge these kind of spells, right? And his W can be a bit more difficult, right? For example, maybe if you're scared of him like Wing you for free, maybe you step back and forth right before you hit the tower, you bait it out, something like that, right?
Yep.
I don't know how good, like, what's it called, knowledge you have of every champion, like what enemy champions' abilities do in general. You probably have a better judgment of that yourself. How would you say, like, you know about like enemy champion abilities or like champion abilities in general?
Yeah, I'm pretty informed, I'd say.
Okay, so for example, you know what all Seraph abilities do, yes?
Yeah, straight line skill shot. The W is a slow, and AOE attack. VE is a stun, and the ult is 4 firings in a large area.
Right. So it's like, for example, if we know what this guy can do and what his abilities are, right, then we probably know how he wants to play as well, right? He wants to try and hit you with an ability while you do something, right? This is the general idea. So we can bait out this, bait it out really easily, right? He's probably gonna throw a skill shot, and if he tries to skill check us, you know, then like that's fine for us, right? We can out skill check him. But it's like if we start hitting the tower and he lands 3 abilities for us on us for free, we're just gonna die probably, right?
Yep.
Alright, and this kind of what I mean. I would just keep going mid lane, and then it's like here I wouldn't mind us playing like aggressive. Maybe we're scared of Ashhold, something like that. That's fine. If that's the case. I think
stick to my team here mostly.
What did you say?
Trying to stick to my team here mostly.
Yeah, and that's fine, right? And once again, if like you have to surround yourself with your team, but I want you to be pinging what you want to do, right? I'm not saying these guys will listen. They will not, right? Often, right? But anytime you ping them, let's say, oh, I want to go mid lane here, or let's say you were like, okay, I want to go Drake. If you just ping these objectives, a lot of the time it will be on their mind that, yeah, these are good objectives to play for, right? Because they don't take everything into consideration, right? Yeah. You will at least be like informing them of what could be a good play, right? And they will keep it in mind. And they might not do it anyways, but that's fine. Then at least we have tried our best. Right, and this is kind of what I was meaning as well with like us being decisive. So one thing is like, looking at this position, right, okay, we got a kill. I don't care if we go mid lane, or if we go reset because we have gold, let's just say, or if we go Drake, or what we do, right? I really don't care. The main thing is that you decide on one thing to do, right? And that's what's most important. Maybe you think, okay, they have a Seraph, they have an Ashe ult up, or like soon up at least, and they have like a TF. Maybe it's a bit risky, you think, to go for the mid tower. That's fine then. Just go Drake. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just be decisive on it and just ping it, and then I do not care what these guys are pinging. Right? You make your place. Right?
Yeah.
And you're decisive about them, and if you notice, okay, this Jack starts going blue buff when you're going Drake, let's just say, then you ping this guy again, I need help on Drake. Right? And you can ping 6 times before you get like a warning in chat, or like to stop pinging. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, or when it like gives you a blocker. So you ping like, okay, maybe the Drake objective 3 times, then you notice like someone's going off and doing this, and you just ping assist on him and then a Drake again, right? Let's say. These kind of things, right? There are 2 things we can control. One is how much we ping, and 2 is where we ping, right? Both of these are very important, right? And this is how we communicate. We don't communicate through the chat if that's what you're doing, usually. The chat is a bait tool.
Yeah, try my best not to get hit by anything here. Hence why I'm staying behind the wall.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it. The wall is like somewhat safe, or like fake safety in a sense, if like they have skill shots, right? Like, let's just say the Seraph is here and he throws it through the wall, like it will be hard for you to see, for example, right?
Yeah.
It does create a buffer for you between like the Briar or something like that, right? So that can be good, but yeah. And in general, it's like, I just wanna make sure that we can like hit, right? So for example, with Caitlyn, I'm not sure if you have traps here, you have traps here, right? Like, if for all I care, you know, you create a line of traps, you know what I mean? People will step into this, right? Or you do it at an entrance, is the most normal, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, they can't just walk through it unless they want to take 1 billion damage, right? And this is what your champion is good at. Alright, but we get some kills. Team goes Drake, we go mid lane, we go Reset. I don't mind this. And once again, right here, just be decisive on what you want to do, right? And you said you struggle with decisiveness. I don't care what decision you make, right? You don't hesitate between the decisions. That's what's important, right?
Okay.
Like, because the truth is, like, people, like, if, let's say, for the sake of it, I don't know, you're like, earlier in the game when you took the bot lane tower, you were not sure, let's just say, if you want to go mid lane or if you want to go bot lane. Let's say this is the case, right? I don't care which one you do. Maybe this is the best play. Maybe this is the best play in the situation because LeBlanc will refuse to go bot lane, for example. I do not care. Just go do one, right? Because if you walk mid lane and then you decide to walk bot lane and then you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna walk back mid lane, then we're doing nothing. You see what I mean?
Yep.
If you just do something, it's way better than hesitating and doing nothing. So I do not care what the decision is. Just stick to it. And afterwards, you might think this was the wrong decision, and then that's fine, right? Then at least you can look at it afterwards and you can think about what would have been the right decision, right? For example, maybe you can ask someone, it doesn't matter, right? But at least then you can have like that in mind, right? But if you make no decision at all, you don't really know if like this decision you would have made would have been a correct one or not, right?
Yep.
So by just making a decision, we learn a lot, right? So this kind of game with the Seraph being as strong as it is, I would not mind us optimizing our build and going like BT instead of IE. I think IE is really good, but I think we already have a lot of damage rates, so it could just be a play. It's just about
I'm just thinking.
Yeah, go.
I just go IE here because the set is surprisingly taking a long time to kill for me.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, right? Like in that sense, right? But our champion's job is not about dealing like a load of damage in that sense, like consistently, right? This is not what Caitlyn is good at. Your job is to play fight slow, play with control, play with your traps, these kind of things. Okay, every headshot you try to sneak one in, you know, these kind of things, right? And then you will slowly poke them out, right? And if Seraph can poke you out better than you can poke him out, then you're gonna struggle, right? Because then you can't play slow anymore, right? So even if you get IE here, then your only win condition now is try to one-tap the Seraph. If we fail to one-tap the Seraph, he's probably gonna one-tap us before, right? You see what I mean?
Yep.
So going something like BT, I don't mind, right, for that reason. Like, I'm not saying you have to. I'm just saying this is an adaptation, right? And if you feel comfortable going IE, you feel comfortable that, okay, I can dodge some Seraph skill shots and, you know, I can, like, maybe you have Bloodline, I'm not sure if you do. Yeah, you have Bloodline. So if you feel like this is enough, that's fine, right? I don't care. But it's just, like, an option you have. And we deal a lot of damage right now, and these are the kind of like I assume fights happen all the time. They do in every elo, right? But
yeah,
but it's like
pretty much.
If fights for some reason don't happen, just ping your team you want to go in or something. You know what I mean? Because you can't go in yourself face first, like you will just die.
Here I actually made a bad decision. I pinged my team to stay so we could take the tower, and it cost us a ton.
Okay, so why do you think it's a bad decision?
Because like 2 of my members died.
Okay. One thing is that I don't like result-based analysis, right? We can look at like this and go, okay, we could hit the turret and then 2 people die, and then you're like, oh shit, it was a bad play. That's not really how I see it, right? Like, yeah, in a sense, right? Because it could have been a good play, right? I'm not saying it is, I'm not saying it isn't, right? But it could have been a good play, and we could just have been griefed in a sense, right? If we, like, decide, okay, this Seraph is dying right now because let's just say we're standing over here instead and he just got hit by a trap. If we end up getting hit by every single one of his spells and then dying before we can kill him, just because we decide to step forward into his E instead of, like, just killing him, it does not mean that we made a bad decision to try and kill him. It just means that we played wrong, right? You see what I mean?
Yeah.
The decision is not at fault, right? In that sense, maybe it could be a bit risky because Seraph is really fed and people are gonna struggle to dodge his skill shots, right? But in general, if no one dies here, don't you think you just get the turret and you're fine?
I mean, yeah, pretty much.
So the decision is not bad. It's just how we play it, right?
Yeah.
And it's not particularly how we play it, maybe, but like maybe because we could look at it and like be like, okay, people are gonna get hit by the skill shots, right? People are not good enough to dodge the skill shots like consistently, right? Let's say. Then we could look at it and say, let's say we have like an Ornn and we have like a Nautilus, something like this, right? And we can just force a fight on them. Then ping that we're going in, right? You know, for example, if we feel like, okay, we cannot just go in like and we will die before, and then it's fine. Okay, we can go do something more safe. I don't mind that either, right? But I don't want us to like look at results and like say, okay, this was a bad play because of like this is the result, right? We could say that, let's say we lost, we would have ended up losing this game or whatever, let's just say. We could have said maybe this was the point of them turning, right, because of how we played it, right, but it doesn't mean that the decision was bad, inherently.
Yep.
So I want us to actively think about why plays end up like they are, right? Right, what were you going to ask?
A note about this game.
Mm-hmm.
It went on way longer than it had to.
Right.
Just because I probably wasn't being decisive enough with my team or communicating enough with them. Because they kind of ran around. The Nasus kept going top, as an example, when top lane was already pushed through. Second tower was the last thing standing, and we pretty much had the ability to open mid here. And all that stuff. So the game went on way longer than it had to.
Yeah, so one reason I can already tell you why the game is going on way longer than it should is because you have zero engage, right? When you have zero engage, the game becomes a bit more complicated. This does not matter which elo you are playing in, because you have to play the map good, right? So you actually have to like do good things, right? And you cannot just click on the enemy and abuse the fact that you're really far ahead and one tap them, right?
Yeah.
Which makes the game overly complicated, because, for example, let's say when we go mid here anyways, right, like, it's hard for us to actually break open this turret because the Seraph is pokes from a distance and the wave clears, right?
Yeah.
So that's, like, one thing. The other thing could be, okay, because we're not decisive enough, or the other thing could just be because, like, we're not looking to, like, fight enough or whatever, because they will probably misstep anyways, right? But it's just the general things to keep in mind of, right? And it's like, the game, for all I care, has to take as long as it takes, right? Games will often take a long time, especially in low elo, right? This is just the case, right? So, like, bracing for that, right? Just being ready, okay, the game might take a while, just farming up entirely. When we're full build or when we feel like we're strong, we try to force fights, right? And one good thing is, like, if we can get the Snasher, for example, then we can easily start, like, pushing. And probably we'll end up taking a fight anyways, right? But this is a general play. I would not go bot lane here. Like, it's like, at least we make a decision, and I don't hate it, right, in that sense. As long as we're decisive on it. But now, keep going bot lane if this is, like, how we're playing it, right? I just want us to do something, right? Now we have a Nash, now we can do something on our own. We can actually siege, Seraph can't just one-tap waves, right? Just do something with it, right? If it's just going mid lane here and not caring about the Ashe, that's fine. If it's like, okay, we go bot lane here, try to catch Ashe. If we don't, we just keep pushing, like, maybe one more wave. Maybe we take this Drake fight if enemy decides to take it. And then afterwards, okay, go push mid lane or go push bot lane or whatever, right? I just want us to push waves now. You see what I mean?
Yep.
Alright. Now we're super strong, we're basically full build. We got the Nash, but we lost it individually, right? What is the plan now, do you think? Or what is your plan?
My plan would be to either coordinate with the entire team to go mid and push through, because we win any team fights. The Briar is non-existent. The TF is non-existent. It's basically a 3 versus 5, basically. So we could all go mid here.
Yeah.
But knowing this elo where it's uncoordinated as hell, probably just trying to take as many objectives as possible. Maybe going to the spot lane tower where the wave's already pushing towards. Maybe actually pushing through top, getting as many inhibitors as possible to make it as hard as possible for them to move around. Stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, in general, right, you want to put points of pressure on the map, right? For example, the Seraph cannot stand mid lane and wave clear, and stand top lane and wave clear, and bot lane and wave clear at the same time, right? He can maybe choose to do one, potentially two, if he like clears a wave and then ults another, something like that, right? But so when we get in the mid lane, the main goal should be wait until this wave crashes and then siege another lane, right? You see what I mean?
Yeah.
For example. Right, you can just wait until you have pressure, and this game, it's a bit more difficult once again, because let's say someone goes to defense mid lane, you go top lane, and then it's like, normally you would just force a fight 5v4, and now it's kind of hard, because once again we have no engage, right?
Yeah.
But this is the general idea. Going mid lane here will not really achieve anything, because they will just still wave clear on their 2 Nexus towers, and we cannot force a fight, right? You see what I mean?
Yeah. And despite me realizing this now, I didn't do it in game.
Yeah. And one thing here that I would be careful of is that, let's say right here, enemy is respawning soon, right? And our teammates are still dead. I will not play aggressive right now. This is one of the times where enemy can take a winning fight, right? I always pushed you this game, or like kind of told you, right? Okay, I want you to play aggressive, right? And that's good, in a sense. But if we play aggressive on the wrong timer, it can be bad for us, right? So in general, on this kind of timer, we just play a bit more safe. We farm up for like, I don't know how long far we're until our item, but not that far, right? So it's like, in general, just take our camps, for example. Maybe fix the top lane wave that enemy is pushing, something like that, right? See what I mean? We can just use this time to farm. And once Nass and Jax are up again, then we can start playing aggressive, right? And this is like fine, right? Enemy kind of agrees into us and we punish it, right? So if we want to play on our limits and you feel like, okay, like that's another thing. If you think you are strong enough to just kill them all by yourself together with this LeBlanc, for all like, yeah, go for it, you know what I mean? Like, that's fine. I'm not saying like it's always gonna work, right? And sometimes it can be a bit risky, right? Because if we think we win 2v5, let's say, or 2v4, then we would for sure win with the rest of our members, right? So
Yeah.
but I don't care how we do it, right? In that sense.
But yeah, I was getting cocky for sure towards the late game because I'm 19-4. I'm feeling good.
Yeah, and that's fine, right? You should be cocky, right? Because you're strong and you want to play aggressive, right? If you can play aggressive, you can carry games, right? If you decide to start playing passive when you're this fed, then you're not going to be carrying games, right? Because your team is going to run around, they're going to die individually, and then the game is over. Right? And here, once again, just ping, okay, I want help here. I'm not sure if you're doing it, right? But it's like, I see some pings sometimes in chat, but not that much. You see what I mean? Like here, there's two like on my way pings, right? But or whatever, right? But it's like, as I said, people won't be guaranteed to listen, but it does do something.
Yeah, I'm definitely not doing it enough, yeah.
Yeah. And I promise you, this is something I've said to basically everyone I've coached. I coached like a grandma's sport player like 2 days ago, and he had the same issues. So it's like, you know.
Yeah.
Like, this is something that happens to literally everyone, right? In that sense, right? But the more we can do it, the more we can get used to it, the more like agency we can have in solo queue. And the agency is all we're looking for, right? The more agency we have, the more games we can carry. The more games we can carry, the more we can win, right? And the more we can win, the more we can climb, right? This is the goal. So it all starts off by just pinging, right? Because as I said, communicating, like chatting or whatever, or like talking in chat, I'm not sure if it's something you do, but that's not real communication for me. Because the truth is, some people in your lobby are not gonna have chat on, right? Some people are gonna press mute button, and then some people are just not gonna read the chat, right? Yeah. And some people, when they read the chat, are gonna be like, why is this guy trying to boss me around, right? And
for me, for example, I have chat disabled.
Yeah, so it's like, chat is not a real thing, right? Pings, everyone, like, you can't use disable pings. You can mute it, right? Like, but people often don't just mute it for some reason, right? So it's something that you can communicate about. And if they do mute it, then whatever. It's not something we could have like done anything about anyways, right?
Yeah, this fight. Yeah. I was just pretty much free. I one-shot everyone with ult at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we just start every fight with ult, and I don't mind it. Like, we're just kind of one-tapping people. One thing that I notice you, like, a lot, and especially like in the early game we spoke about like a bit, or you spoke about rather, like how you place your traps like over here, right, for example, so that when they step up here, then they will get hit by the trap and they will just die. I don't see you using your traps as much in mid-late game, right? And traps are a very powerful tool on Caitlyn. Whenever you hit it, you get a guaranteed like headshot, right? And headshots are like the most powerful tool on this champion, I would argue. Agreed?
Yeah.
That's like how you want that people. For example, here, when Swain is getting ulted by Briar, I would just place a trap on top of the Swain.
Yeah.
Right? And then it's like, odds are, sometimes the Briar will just walk into the trap and you will one-tap her. Now you one-tap her anyways because you're like Omega fed, right? Right? But this is something I spoke about earlier. I think it was maybe this fight. Yeah, exactly. We were hugging the wall, right? And I said it like we were sitting on a lot of traps, right? Let's use them, right? And anytime you get hit by Briar ult, same thing. You just trap yourself. Anytime you see Seth running towards you, you trap in his direction, right? And he has to walk around it and it gives you a bit of time. These kind of things. And anytime you hit an E on someone, you can E and then trap them, right? For example, right? I have a friend that plays like Caitlyn in the Master, and used to one-trick it basically, and that's something he does always, right? He just looks to E and then trap them instantly, like so that they get slowed by the E, and it's like a smooth animation, right?
Yeah.
And these are tools you can use. If you're gonna play this champion a lot, right? I'm not saying like maybe you're planning on not playing Caitlyn in the future, I don't know, right? But it's like, if you're planning on playing Caitlyn a lot, right? Using it. All of her tools, right, is important, right?
Yeah.
Right, and I think we took this fight around Drake, and I assume we just kind of end the game afterwards.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the point where we all run down mid.
Yeah. And so I don't like hate how we play this game, right? Like we kind of get dealt a really good hand, right, of the early game, right, with the Ashe literally having to lane 1v2, like, and I don't hate how we like play the lane. As I said, one thing to think about is like how much CS we give this guy, right? But main thing I want you to care about is just how can I maximize my resources, right? This is how you're gonna be able to carry games up until like Diamond Master. You don't have to think about like, okay, how much resource am I giving the enemy, right? So if you think the way you get the most fed is by pushing this wave, landing every last hit, hitting enemy tower, that's all good for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what I want you to think about. How can I maximize my resources, right, in general? And like sometimes you can give up a bit of resources to take a fight or whatever, but I want you to prioritize getting as many last hits, right, and getting as much gold as possible, right? And whenever you're strong in the game, I want you to fight around that. I don't care when you decide you're strong, right? On Caitlyn, often 1 item and 2 items are really strong, right? Because that's when you're one-tapping people, right? You're 1 item, you're gonna just have more burst than enemy, and same thing on 2 items. And on 3 items, maybe you're not as strong as another ADC, right, if they're 3 items, right? Let's say the Ashe is 3 items, you're 3 items, right? You deal a lot of damage, right? But that guy is consistently like pumping out DPS, right, compared to you.
Yeah.
So maybe you feel like, okay, when I'm 1 item, I just want to play aggressive, right? Or maybe now that you have a serrated Dirk, you want to play aggressive. Just decide these spikes in the game where you feel like you're very strong, right? And then if you feel like you're starting to get ahead, like for example this game, you're already ahead when you're on Dirk, I just want you to play that super aggressive, right? And check out the enemy at the start of the lane phase, right? Just skill check him, right? Start trading with him like this. Maybe even if you want to here. Like if you trade him with him like this, I don't even hate it if we like take a step forward, right? You know, I'm not saying we win it, that's not what I'm saying, right? Maybe we win it, maybe we don't, I don't care, right? But just dare him to play aggressive on you, right? And if he backs off here, you can tell already, okay, what type of player is he, right?
Yeah.
And using like this human element can give you a lot of advantages, right? And this is kind of like, after we get this fed, right, I want us to keep playing aggressive, right, and I want us to play with our team, right, and the main thing, once again, to do that is just pinging, right, and going, sometimes it's just going where other people are, right. If you think you can, like, take this tower, okay, make sure you do it. If you think, okay, let's say I can't do it because my teammates are not playing around me, maybe just push this, right, push this wave, and then, like, maybe go mid lane or something like that, and then you can play aggressive on mid lane, you know, whatever it is. Right, and it's like, once again, like, you cannot guarantee that LeBlanc will, like, go mid lane here, right, but it's like, maybe you're, or, like, bot lane, rather, but maybe you're scared of pushing this now, and that it could be fine if that's the case, right, and then for all I care, you know, like, we maximize our resources by taking all the ways bot lane, and then we go and play aggressive around mid lane, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is just what I want you to do, just play aggressive, right? Play aggressive and play for yourself. Sounds good?
Yep, sounds good.
Alright, do you have any other questions?
That is something, the reason why I usually just don't force myself onto mid lane if my mid laner isn't moving is because I don't want them to tilt.
Yeah.
Like, let's say the LeBlanc is 7-4 in the end game, towards the end game.
Yeah.
If I tilted them and they ran it down, they could be like 0-10.
Oh no, 100%, right? They could be. Right, and this is something you have to account for, right? And that sucks, obviously, when it happens, right? In that sense, right? And if you notice, okay, they will tilt or whatever, then it is what it is, right? Maybe you just have to make a worse play around that, and that can be fine, right? But in general, if you think you're strong enough to carry the game, I think you do the stuff you need to carry the game, right? That's what I say. Okay. Right, and it's like, I'm not saying, like, you should, like, force this guy to go bot lane. If, like, he wants to go mid lane and he's fed, right? And, like, you're not fed, let's say. You don't just tilt that guy up randomly, right? But if you're like in a state where you're like, well, I just took bot lane tower at like fucking 9 minutes or whenever it was, right? Like right here, and I have a collector, and I literally one tap the TF if I just get to face him, then for all I care, you could just do that, right?
Yeah.
And if you think he's gonna tilt, and like, as I said, this game, I don't mind us going bot lane, right? Because we could probably literally just brute force this tower if we wanted to, right? So then you can do that and then go mid lane. Whatever you think is the best play, right? That's just what I care about, right? And of course, the tilt factor is something to consider, but it's just the carry factor as well, right? And thinking, okay, how is the best way I can carry efficiently, right?
Yep.
Like,
right. Especially at that point, I'm especially scared of the tilt factor because my Nasus is 1-1, my Jax is 0-2, my Swain is 0-2.
Yeah. No, and I get that.
Point, I don't need another teammate running it.
Yeah. No, I understand that.
That's just that. That's just that game specifically.
No, and I assume there's gonna be a lot of games like this, right? Like,
yeah, probably.
Of course, like people are gonna be running it, and I promise you, this is once again every elo people just run it for zero reason. They just stop carrying, right? That's the biggest point. Like tilt factor for me in League, or like frustration factor, is that people don't care about winning games, right?
Yeah.
And it's like people would rather make sure that they like they'd rather like prove a point than like try to win a game, right? Which is a bit sad sometimes, right?
I had this before. I had a Warwick in my team who was like super fed and just said, "Nah, I'm not carrying you."
Yeah, exactly, right. And then it's like we can't do much about it. The main thing we can do is making sure we have as much agency as possible, right? The more agency we have, we can literally win 5 games, right? And some games we're just gonna lose. That's just the case. Like I promise you, sometimes you're gonna queue up to League of Legends and you're gonna be losing games. That's just the sad truth, right? But you just have to make sure that okay, we don't think about okay, do we win, do we lose, whatever, right? We think about okay, how much impact can we have, and then when the game comes around where we do lose automatically, that's fine. For every game you lose automatically, you can have a game similarly where you win automatically, right? And you just have to try to impact the game as positively as possible all the time, right?
I heard of it before. It's like a 30% rule.
Yeah, something like
30
that,
is
right?
auto win, 40 is you decision, and 30 is auto lose.
Right, something like that, right? It's not like exactly those percentages, right? But it's similar, right?
Yeah.
That's the idea, right? That's okay. Some games you're just gonna queue up and you're gonna be in loser's queue, right? And it just sucks, right? But we just play as good as we can, and the more we play good, and the more we outperform this guy, the more we're gonna win, right? That's the goal.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
No.
No. All right. Then I hope this helps. I will upload this to YouTube like sometime next week, probably.
Okay.
If you want to check out like the coaching session before that, it's in Twitch Vaults.
Okay.
All right. And then as said, I hope it helps, and thank you for tuning up.
Thank you so much for helping.
All right. Awesome. I'll see you later.